Nikki, life was going swimmingly. Tell us your story. What on earth made you go and start a business?
I reached absolute rock bottom. Rock bottom for me was sitting on my bottom step at home with a bottle of wine in my hand. Now, I wasn't an alcoholic, but I was so fed up I couldn't even be bothered to get up and go and get a glass. But I was probably drinking one more glass a day than I should be. I was at a point in my life where I felt a complete failure. I had absolutely no qualifications. I'd failed 8 GCSEs, as they were O-levels, when I was at school. I was made redundant when I was pregnant with my first child. I then went on to have a second child. I didn't have 2 halfpennies to rub together. I didn't have a car. I had absolutely nothing for me, nothing that made me want to get out in the morning, apart from the children. But even that started to get to a point they were sort of getting on to toddlers, and I needed something for me. And something landed on my doormat at home, which was a distance learning course in performance coaching. And I thought, oh, this is a load of twaddle. But when I started to read it, it actually talked about stopping, how you stop yourself from doing things, that it's you that stops you. And I thought, yeah, I'm sitting on this step and I'm feeling blooming sorry for myself. Get off your ass, get up and do something and stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's me that's stopping myself from getting up. And I put myself on this course, and it's coaching other people, but I didn't. I just coached myself, and I've done nothing more with that qualification. And I wrote 5 goals down that I said I was going to do in 10 years. They're very materialistic goals, and I'm going to share them with you, and I apologise. The first one was I wanted 2 holidays a year. We couldn't afford to go on holiday. The second one was I wanted to buy a car, but it wasn't just any car. I wanted a convertible car. At the time, I struggled to get the bus with the lack of money that I had. The third one was I wanted to lose 7 stone in weight. The reason I couldn't be bothered to get up and get the glass is I was heavily, heavily overweight, and getting up and wandering around was a real effort. The fourth one was I wanted to run a business doing something I enjoyed and something I was good at. I didn't quite know what that was at the time, but I wanted to be in control of what I was doing. And the fifth one was, and I wrote it down, and I can remember writing it down and crying profusely, I want to be proud of myself, because by God, I wasn't proud of myself sat on that step. And I did all of those 5 goals within 5 years, not 10. And that was because I broke them up into tiny little chunks. And I took inspiration of the things that were happening around me. I was helping at a toddler group, and somebody said, you're really good at organising. I was doing fundraising, and I thought, do you know, I quite like this event thing, organising events. So I took inspiration from that and decided that I was good at events. And I spent probably 5 years bullying my way into the industry, telling a few white lies and getting there, and kept waiting to be discovered that I was a fraud. And I still do, actually, but I'm quite far down the line now.
5 things. Somebody said something. You're quite good at organising events, which gave you the inspiration for the idea. You tested yourself. You hit rock bottom. You got information and skills. You went and you did courses. When did the shock come?
It's quite interesting, actually, because what happened was I was working at a local authority. What I'd done is I wrote to lots of businesses and local authorities and said, will you have me just to come and get some experience? I'm not bothered about being paid. I was lying. But I sort of said, look, it doesn't matter, I'll come and work for nothing. And the first one said, okay, come and work for nothing. So I was a bit peed off, but I did it. The next one offered to pay me £7 an hour. And I thought, God, he thinks I'm genuine. And then the next one offered to pay me. And that first one that offered to pay me, I was genuinely shocked that he thought I was good enough to be paid. And I think that was the kind of shock. The second shock was when I was working for councils for a few years, employed by them, but then when I couldn't take any more of public authorities and working for public sector, I walked out, and then I thought, oh God, and I picked up the phone and I said, I've gone freelance. And somebody said, well, do you want to come and talk to us? And I was like, oh God, genuine. So there were 2 shocks, really.
The event today is for those people that are on the verge of change, that want to take that big step into starting up their new business, that have had an idea, that's that burning idea, that they've thought, I can't sit on this anymore, I've got to get off my bum and I've got to go and do it. We were talking about confidence and motivation in the session that I was involved in, and the key thing was that the thing that's stopping you and what's stopping you is yourself. And I think the more that we can get that across, the only thing that's stopping you from doing what you're doing is yourself. And making excuses, I haven't got the time, I haven't got this, I haven't got that, they're just excuses. You've got to believe in yourself to be able to make it happen.
There's one thing I've always said, no business starts with a plan, it starts with a conversation. And if you think that starting a business means writing a business plan, finance and marketing, you're on the road to nowhere. Entrepreneurship's about people, it's about selling things to people or getting somebody else to sell it for you. But you get your confidence and your inspiration from knowing what you're good at. And what I'm going to do today is actually get people to work out what they're really good at and find other people to do things they're rubbish at. Because there's somebody out there that hates doing, loves doing what you hate doing, and that's how entrepreneurs work. They don't do it all themselves. So I'm going to show people techniques to look at themselves, but most importantly, get technical information. What's an overhead? What's contribution? Once you know these things, business is simple. Making it happen is tough, but it's also fun. In your book, there's a question. So what's stopping you? On section 2, confidence and motivation. Out of curiosity, would you just put the answer to the question, give a few minutes and write down what's stopping you or what you thought was stopping you, or just put, nothing. But just answer that honestly. And what I would suggest you do is use that later on, and keep it locked up, because it really is your soul. And I've done this over years with entrepreneurs, and it is quite astonishing how people suddenly open up and tell you precisely what stopped them from doing it. It could be an abusive marriage, it could be fear of debt, it can be a whole host of things. But the really interesting thing is, businesses start for personal reasons. Rarely do you get people out to make $1 million. They go out and they go, I'm at rock bottom here, I want a better life. So just jot down your thoughts on what's stopping you, if anything, okay? 5 minutes, just a few minutes. And then I might ask you a few questions.